There was some huge breaking news this week in the world of Formula One. Red Bull decided to ditch Max Verstappen's teammate, Liam Lawson. I don't get that. I thought he was good last year after just 2 races. Liam failed to pick up a single point from these races this season and set to replace by Yuki Tsunoda. So let's find out what on earth has happened with Formula One YouTube and podcaster Tom McCluskey. Tom, a very good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Good morning, gents.
Tom,
Thanks for having me.
Tom,
bright and early.
just after 2 races, I'm trying to get my head around this because I thought you showed immense promise last season.
Yeah, you're not the only one. I think 11 Grand Prix over 2 seasons in the junior team. 2 Grand Prix is a tiny sample size. Red Bull are notorious for being cutthroat with their young drivers. 12 races for Pierre Gasly, 26 for Alex Albon, even 10 for Nick de Vries in the junior team last season. 2 Grand Prix. I don't know, that seems like a lot. Imagine 2 weeks into your new job, gents, and already the employer's like, you know what, we've had enough. Off you pop.
But Tom, don't you look at it and you think to yourself, if you are working for Red Bull, you got last in the Australian qualifying, didn't finish in the race, last in China sprint qualifying, out of the points in the sprint, last in the China race qualifying, and finished out of the points. Sometimes you have to make a change quickly, don't you, to save the season, though?
The problem is for Red Bull is this is a continuing cycle. I remember the first YouTube video I made 5.5 years ago was Pierre Gasly being replaced by Alex Albon. And this continuous cycle, the problem in Red Bull, it's a very specific car with very specific characteristics that Max Verstappen, who is, as far as I'm concerned, the best driver in F1 right now, he has learned that since 2016 when he joined that team. The nuance, it's super sharp on the front end. The best way to think about it, you know, on your computer mouse, if you switch up the sensitivity to the max, it's really hard to click on anything. That's kind of a good analogy to understand what this Red Bull car needs. And it's really hard for any young driver coming in, even from Red Bull's junior team, to be prepared and to get up to speed and get anywhere near Max. And Max is essentially, his great performances is one kind of masking these problems with the car, because even Max is struggling with it this year, and he's making his teammates look like duds.
Well, obviously as well, Tom, with the emergence of McLaren and Ferrari, you know, take away the tiny discrepancy on the height off the ground. You know, Ferrari are coming, aren't they? Especially with Lewis in there, and McLaren's, as I said. So there's no room for error here, and I think they're just trying to cover every angle that we're not giving up our title.
Yeah, I think for the longest time, you know, Max won so many titles, you know, from 21 onwards, and they didn't need that second car to be firing on all cylinders. They could afford Max to pick up all these wins and deliver both the Drivers' Championship individually for himself and the Constructors essentially on his own. Now they can no longer do that because, like you say, McLaren have, you know, they've got the quickest package right now. Ferrari are right up there. And Lewis has been able to jump into that car in China and win on his second Grand Prix weekend. And Lewis is one of the greatest of all time, no doubt. But that just shows that in every other team, apart from Red Bull, new drivers, we've got a lot of rookies this year. You mentioned Chelmsford earlier, Alan. That's the hometown of Ollie Behrman, one of the young rookies who's come in. And they've been all able to hit the ground running, yet it's only in Red Bull where no one seems to be able to come in. And we saw Liam Lawson last year. He impressed in those 11 Grand Prix. We know he's not an idiot. We know he's got talent. We know he's got ability, but we're not seeing it in that car. It was the same for Pierre Gasly, same for Alex Albon, same for Sergio Perez. He was he had 4 seasons to that team, and prior to that had a really established F1 career where he was a known entity of a top quality driver, and that Red Bull just didn't allow him to shine over all that time. And we're here again, and I cannot believe it. It's crazy.
And Tom, next Grand Prix, Japanese Grand Prix, so fantastic for Tsunoda, you know, his home Grand Prix.
Absolutely. I think it's been Takuma Sato's the last kind of high-profile Japanese Formula One driver. This is definitely Honda seem to have, this is their last year partnered with Red Bull before they move to Aston Martin next season. I'm sure Honda have had a hand in this and getting this across the line. My opinion, if this was if the Japanese Grand Prix was race 4, race 5, Liam probably would have got a few more races. It's also a shame for Liam because he knows Suzuka so well. He's raced there in multiple championships. He won't get the chance to race that Grand Prix in a Red Bull, but this is huge for Yuki. A lot of fans felt he deserved the seat more than Liam in the first place anyway.
Right.
So for him to finally get that seat at his home Grand Prix, look, you're putting the lad under a lot of pressure. it's sink or swim in F1, and let's see if he swims. I hope he does, because I've got a lot of love for Yuki.
Yeah.
So 2 Grand Prix gone now, and 2 wins for McLaren, Norris and Piastri. How's Max Verstappen taking this? Because, you know, I could imagine he's not taking it very well. He's used to winning.
Absolutely no. I think the problem for Max is that we've got a new set of regulations next year, and it's in the team's best interest to not focus too much effort at fixing this year's car, because any effort that's focused on fixing this year's car can't be put into next year's. So
he won't want to hear that, though, will he?
He won't. But I think that is ultimately the game that everyone is playing. All the other 9 teams as well. They've got to balance whether to, you know, trade offsets to next season or focus on this year. Like you say, McLaren are onto a really good thing. Max almost won in Australia. In those kind of wet conditions, Max is an absolute animal.
Yeah.
So he will back himself. And again, I think he's covering up a lot of cracks at Red Bull. He's making that car look in a way better position than you could argue it should be. So you can never write off Max. There's a rule change coming on round 9 as well. A bit of a change to the flexible wings, which might work in Red Bull's favour. It's 24 Grand Prix. We're only 2 down, so there's still plenty of time to go.
Yeah, brilliant, Tom. Thank you, Tom McCluskey, Formula One YouTuber and podcaster.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.